What up, y'all, and welcome to Italy for the 12th race in the 2023 FBRL Napa Truck Series season. We're gearing up for 16 laps of racing around the 6.2 mile Milano circuit, and on pole for the second time this year and the first time since Atlanta is Nelson Reeves. Nelson coming in 8th in the point standings, has Huck Davis to his right side. AJ Jones and Vince Freeze in row 2. Jones finished runner-up to Freeze back at row 1. Jones looking for today to be potentially his first win. Row 3 is Ace Wild and Josh Crash. Row 4, Malik Nevins and Luke Martin. And then rounding out the top 10, Glenn Mixon and Tib Foster. William Brock caps off a top 11 Q effort by Coyote Autosport. As after Kansas, Luke Martin lost more points in the championship lead. Now Bradley Bishop Jr. sitting second in the point standings. You see the 88 starting mid-pack. 17 points back behind Luke coming into this race. Luke did gain a couple of points over Ace Wild, however. So Wild now 26 points back. Our most recent race winner, Bob Burns, you can see also with a poor qualifying effort here in Italy. He jumped up to 4th in the standings, 49 points back. And William Brock, who we saw starting in 11th, also with a poor result at Kansas. He sits 5th now, 54 points back. But, you know, Tib Foster, AJ Jones, 61, 62 points back. Those guys are over a race back on the standings, but still plenty of time. You get a win. Luke Martin doesn't do good. Bradley Bishop Jr., Ace Wild don't do good. There's a chance for you to gain a ton of points, as we see Ryan Griffin with another poor qualifying effort. That Crossroads Racing number 10 team just can't seem to get things going in Q trim. Christian Vargas driving the 29 for Silver Fox Motorsports this week. He just recently got his first career Hardee's National Series win at Kansas as well. And then starting at the back of the field on provisionals is Blake Warren, Randy Riggs Jr., Sean Ard, and Pedro Evo Lucas. The 23 has now used its final provisional, joining the 71, 15, and one other driver, the 25, as trucks without provisionals for the rest of the year. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
Driver, start your engine!
Drivers that failed to qualify will scroll across the top of the screen. So bit of a unique situation here in Italy. This race actually occurred yesterday, so we are going to be commentating over tape delay footage. And that is why we are able to have the driver of the number 6 Mitsubishi, Vince Freeze, with us in the booth. Vince, don't tell me what happened. But happy to have you up here in the booth for this tape delay style post-race recording.
Yeah, man, looking forward to it as the pace car turns off. It's a Tifosi di Corsa in Italia. It's going to be a good one here. Nelson Reeves is the pole sitter. He's going to lead us to green. Zach, take us to green, buddy.
Yes, indeed. Sony Cup Series was scheduled to come here, but had to cancel. Napa Truck Series, though, we're still here, and we are green flag action here on the old circuit. By the way, this is the oval with the infield road course. Now, there's a lot of trees around this track, so at times camera angles are going to be obscured, but we've got a lot of cameramen around the track, so going to do our best to make sure that we can see the trucks. But as they come down the back straightaway here, you're going to see them head off into the road course, and draft is going to be king today. Because without draft, you're about 2 seconds slower here around this 6.2 mile circuit. So you see a bit of a standalone shot here through the first section. Nelson Reeves currently single file in the lead. You see Ace Wild get a little loose there. Have to check up. AJ Jones on the inside of Nelson Reeves, looking for that race lead. So we are getting a good shot of the foliage. Reeves clears out single file.
shadow right there into the tunnel. You start the single file back, but he's starting to spread out a little bit. That's just the draft effect. As you see, AJ Jones really strong on these speedway style tracks and super speedways is what he's been a force all season. Let's see if he can control the race today.
This circuit is basically a Papyrus Motorsports Park on steroids. You know, Papyrus Motorsports Park, Vince, 3.77 miles. This is 6.2. Papyrus, all the road course corners are banked. This track, the only banked corners are the oval corners. But still a very similar sense of road course mixed with super speedway. But I think the super speedway aspect of this track is enhanced because of the oval style.
Yeah, right here, you see they're going to wash up high to the wall, try to get a perfect run exit. You see Jones do that, nearly kisses it, but rim rides it and tries to get the run. But right now it's Mr. Ace Wild cleared.
And with the setups these drivers are running, man, you know, it just feels like this race is going to be one of those races where if you're leading coming out of the road course, I don't think you're going to be leading when we get back to the start-finish line. And you can see even here through turns 1 and 2, Ace Wild falling to Malik Nevins, who goes to the race lead. And I'm hearing that we had a couple of instances occur on the first lap of the race, so we're going to go take a look at those. Now, we here in the Napa Truck Series, we're fortunate to have several helicopters across the racetrack, and this particular helicopter we're riding on board with was taking a look at Austin Rogers. And 3 wide here through this section of the road course can be tricky. You see Rogers kind of bounce off of Tib Foster, and then Jacques Anderson, nowhere to go, spins out the 82, and I think Bradley Bishop Jr. actually got a piece of Austin there. And that sent the 82 around, and then the 7 was also in the wall. Let's take another quick angle of this. So you see, watching Mac Johnson, Nate Champion in the 84 this week actually kind of gets into Mac. That puts Nate into the inside wall. Now watch the 82 just kind of slices by the 27, and then Bradley Bishop Jr. tried to cut left and hit the brakes, but gets a piece of Austin. Not sure how much damage that would have given the 88, but that's likely going to hurt the performance on the 88 truck a little bit, considering how important aero is here. Draft is going to be like everything this afternoon, and yeah, it looks like there is maybe, yep, a bit of a dent there on the 88. As they come out of the road course section, Malik Nevins now leads the field, but you can see a big gap back to Ace Wild. Now we're going to bring the overlay up just to show y'all how much draft is impacting this race here this afternoon, or rather yesterday afternoon. See about 160 for Nevins going into the oval. Ace Wild with about a 4-mile-an-hour run. And then Glenn Mixon, man, he's already up to 170. So, man, these guys, they are hauling around this racetrack. I mean, just look at the difference. Malik Nevins losing the lead, might lose second at the line. Just barely holds on to it over AJ Jones.
Yeah, Zach, you're looking at maybe, I just looked at the gap, probably 8 to 9 tenths of a second. Exiting the infield road course, getting a great run exit coming off that last bank corner to possibly win the race and do a drag race. But if you're not within 8 to 9 tenths seconds, you will be caught like Nevins was. As you see the battle and slicing, dicing 3-4 wide possibly as they enter now the infield road course section right about here's where they start to hit the brakes.
We'll go to the heli camera here just to show you what 3 wide is like. You can see that longer line able to keep their foot in it more. Josh Crash, Huck Davis over the 6 of Vince Freeze. The 6 really having to check up there. But as you can see on the left-hand side of the track through that pass corner, the left-hand side had to check up, and now Crash and Huck Davis find themselves 3 wide with Tib Foster.
The old ebbs and flows, buddy. You'll start to see battles, and these guys got to be careful just a little bit not to wreck yourself. One thing about this race, we saw in that first incident, it split the pack up, and now they're trying to constantine together. I think the pack is about, let's say, 5-6 seconds is cover in the field. that might have changed, but I think it's going to start constantine up. His tire wear is minimal here, so expect more of the leader to have the clean air and start pushing as you see a bow per second when Nelson Reeves, the pole sitter, look underneath.
Yes, indeed. Fuel mileage here is going to be about 7 to 9 laps. You might be able to stretch it 10, but the only way I think someone's going to make it 10 is if they're primarily in the draft the entire run, but probably not recommended to try to push it 10 laps. And tire wear is going to be about 2 to 3 seconds here, even in the draft. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, Vince, 8 to 9 tenths seems to be crucial here. I mean, look at Josh Crash here. And then back to Huck Davis. Huck Davis isn't even really able to get a run on the 62 as the 47 is getting a run on him.
He slides up right there, 3 wide, nearly rim rides the wall, but Tib, I think, try to get the Crash. That's about 8, 9, 10, so Crash is in a safe zone. Let's see the gap at the line. Okay, so
just waiting for the ticket update. Yeah, it's about 0.8 of a second back to Tib Foster right now. But if we bring the overlay up, see Crash doing about 181. Tib is moving at about 185. So that second pack, it looks like, is going to draft back up to the first pack. And then the rest of the field with them should join back up here as they get to the road course. Yep, you can see Tib Foster with this huge run is going to get right up to the bumper of the 62.
It's going to invert. You want that longer line on the outside. There it is.
You saw Ace Wild make a move for the lead, but he had to check up, drops him all the way to third. And now Coyote Autosport teammates of Glenn Mixon and AJ Jones are the top 2. Jones going to make a move for the race lead on his teammate. Now, Mixon has not had the best of years so far this season. Very inconsistent, but he did get his, I believe, only top 5 on the season at Dubai, and that's also his only top 10. So he had a flash earlier on at one of our international tracks, and he's having a flash here at another one. This is the 3rd race in the international tour for the Napa Truck Series, and we have our 4th and final one in 2 weeks at New Zealand at the chaotic Pukekohe Park Raceway.
Yeah, one thing to note, Zach, this is the second half of the season now. We were in the first race of the second half. Whatever you did in the first half is out the window. It's the past. For these championship contenders like AJ Jones, it's not about being a hero right now. It's about getting points, racking them up, getting those top 3s, which is more important in the Truck Series compared to past years where podiums matter, and start to fly, right? You got to start to develop the setups. We got an international tour here that's a bit different. We got a lot more short tracks coming on the way. We got some speedways. Road courses not as much, but we got to figure the speedways will be where you win this championship. And then, of course, at the back end with some short tracks like Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Memphis for sure.
Taking a look at drivers that have lost touch with the field. Austin Rogers has actually really lost touch without the draft. He's about 10 seconds slower a lap right now. He really needs to get that machine down pit road. Thankfully, with how big this track is, it's about 2 minutes, 23 seconds a lap. So he's not in any danger of being caught anytime soon. Another driver, Nate Champion, we saw him hit the wall, and this seems to be the part of the track we really can't get a good angle on anybody. But Nate has also lost touch, and Pedro Ivo Lucas surprisingly has lost touch as well. I'm not sure what is wrong with this truck. I don't see any damage. So just tough, unfortunate break. Something happened to this 11 that cost him the draft. His teammate Blake Warren, these two getting into the field on provisionals, they've been unable to go anywhere, and the same can be said for fellow provisional drivers of Sean Ard and Randy Riggs Jr. A pretty cool, Vince, to see this 77 truck get to debut here in Italy, after failing to qualify at Talladega. So cool to see both the 77 and the 44 here on the track. Let's see if we can find Blaze McKinney. There he is in the 44, currently running last time by 27th place.
Yeah, it's the Johnny Walker Challenge. It's kind of inspired by this place, actually, with the Olympics in Greece and Italy in Europe time, so we wanted to do something special.
Oh, he's in the wall.
Into the wall there.
Little scrape.
Little scrape there where the boss is watching. All good. But they're having a fun time out there. But back at the front, buddy, we got to get back. We can start to get intense. I think these guys are starting to lose some tire wear. It's going to get to this point where pit stops are possibly going to work next lap with the extreme undercut. But realistically, I think we're going to split it in half, 8 and 8. As you can see, the front is constantining up.
And they're really packing up. Want to just give a quick shout out to some drivers in the top 20 here. Jerry Cook started near the back. He's made it up to 20th. Austin Runkle, Michael Miller also currently inside the top 20. And yeah, they are, we got to go to the helicam for this. They are 3x3x3 right here. Really tight racing. As you see that outside line, able to get a really good run. But let's see how many of them might have to check up here. Luke Martin's in a pretty crazy situation here. Oh man, that 3 wide, he had to check up. He was not going to be able to hold it next to the 70 and the 42. And then he finds himself in another 3 wide situation with the 30 and the 1. Ace Wild and Brock actually making some contact there, fender to fender. Not going to hurt anything, I don't think. And they continue the race side by side.
Yeah, it's really about knowing your spotter. It's hard to get an angle. Your spotter does play a role, as it's, I believe, Reeves and Nixon up front dueling it out.
What it would mean, man, for one of these two drivers to get their first career win. You know, interesting thing about Glenn Mixon, he got his substitute role 2 years ago because of A.J. Jones. You know, A.J. Jones, that reckless incident back at Finland in 2021 that took Tyler Black out of competition for a month, and Mixon got an opportunity to drive the number 77 truck for Single Z Racing at New Zealand. And on the inversion race, he managed to get a top 5 finish. And now Mixon finds himself driving for Coyote Autosport, and AJ Jones is his teammate. And they're going to, it looks like so far, going to be competing for this win here today. So, on the other hand, you've got a Mitsubishi driver in Nelson Reeves who got the pole at Atlanta, maybe thought Atlanta was going to be his shot. I believe got caught up in an incident or just didn't really have a good day after he got kind of trapped in the pack. And now he finds himself at the front of the field here in this one after starting on the pole. You know, could today be Nelson's day? Team Velocity, man, they are knocking on the door of the win. They're going to be almost 4 wide right there. Bob Burns was dropping it down on the apron. I think they're going to go 4 wide. For a very brief moment.
Yeah, Bob Burns was pushing his fiery luck right there. He just won the last race too at Kansas and that finish. See if he can go back to back, but you just see the inverted line coming right here. Let's see who gets the run. So the top guy should have it. There it is.
Speaking of Bob Burns, he actually started around 30th, I think, in this race.
Oh yeah, track. So we talk about track position, but you can also slice and dice your way if you know how to use the lines correctly. And Bob Burns is doing that to perfection today.
Edward Siemba also started outside of the top 10, and he has put his hat up here in the mix. Meanwhile, Huck Davis started second and has drifted back to 15th. And Jerry Cook again. Jerry Cook, man, gaining another few positions. He's up to 17th now. And I don't know if that's Jerry Cook, who came into this series with road course experience from other racing leagues, or if that's the truck, because we know these Martin Motorsport trucks are really good aerodynamically, and with this being a draft track, aero can be huge. And they're also really good. They've got good chassis and engines behind them, too. So I don't know. Actually, you know, it's probably a combination, because we know from Road Atlanta that Jerry Cook is a wheelman.
Jerry looking really good here. And we are in Italy, man, so he's definitely cooking up some penny alla prosciutto today, for sure.
It's up ahead. It looks like they're going to catch the first lap truck, and that's Austin Rogers, who has been down pit road since we last saw him. And we are in the pit window here. 7th lap of the race. Does anyone dare to come down this time by as Nevins takes the race lead? And yes, indeed, Vince Freeze is going to be the one coming down pit road. Why didn't you tell me you were pitting this lap, Vince?
Did not get the signal. Did not get the signal.
Yeah. No, you just wanted us to be surprised when you came down pit road.
Yeah,
Austin,
well, I got that ice in the veins. You know, well, ice in the veins, actually, for my crew chief.
Austin Runkle down, as well as Justin Johnson. Pedro Ivo Lucas. Looks like I think Mac Johnson might have come down already, or he had an issue occur. And oh, Aiden Smith is back here. I believe something happened. Let's take a look. So this was back on lap 6. 4-wide situation here. It's going to get Mac Johnson turned by Ben McDonald. Randy Riggs Jr. gets involved, and Aiden Smith has nowhere to go. That also slows up Justin Johnson. That was right off the final corner. Just looked like an unfortunate situation where McDonald made a move on the 7 as somebody else was making a move to the truck inside of McDonald. And it created a 4-wide situation, and everyone kind of just got tight. And Mac Johnson ends up getting turned, and Riggs and Aiden Smith get involved. So tough break for both of these drivers. All right, now the question is, who's going to pit this time by? As you see Aiden Smith coming out of pit road. The hood is gone on that truck. And Nelson Reeves leading, but AJ Jones to his inside. How will this affect the pit decision here? Can Reeves get down? Josh Crash also with a run.
Crash going to go underneath. Let's see if Reese can get down there. Survey says.
Reeves is going to go another lap. AJ Jones pits along with Josh Crash, Bob Burns, Ace Wild, and more.
Ooh.
Oh, a little bit of contact. Oh, Huck Davis. Looks like he might have some damage. Oh, and something happened to Luke Martin. That's big. That's championship implication. Something happened to Luke Martin coming into pit road, I think. We see a good amount of drivers elect to stay out. Oh, and this is huge. Luke was running inside the top 10 or so. And I think I saw something just popped out the window really quickly in front of the 38. I think we might know where this incident started. So let's take a look at the replay here. We're going to go straight to slow motion for this one. Watch Glenn Mixon. Starts to turn down, wants to go into pit road. Luke Martin starts turning down as well to go into pit road, but contact is made. Same with Huck Davis and Aiden Carlton. Mixon body slams Luke down into the inside wall. Huck Davis also involved, wrecking himself off of Aiden Carlton. And just a reckless decision there by Glenn Mixon. And this will be an incident reviewed by series officials. You see Jacques Anderson trying to stay out. Barely gets by. All of this madness. And then Blake Warren, Ben McDonald also looking to stay out. They checked up. They checked up, Vince, to miss this. And that's probably going to hurt them by staying out here. That's a lot of speed lost. So a really unfortunate situation for Luke Martin and Huck Davis. Luke did nothing wrong really there, in my opinion, at first glance anyway. And then Huck Davis just pretty much wrecked himself off of the 92. So series officials going to have to look at those and probably have a decision after the race is complete. So with the majority of the field going down pit road, that leaves a handful of drivers left. Malik Nevins, William Brock, Nelson Reeves, Dewey Schramm III, and Doug Lockrow. The top 5 with Austin Rogers 1 lap down, who's already been to pit road. Thinking that all 5 of these drivers probably want to pit this time by. Don't think you want to try and stretch it here.
Yeah, and you want a friend when you get up to speed as well. You don't want to be single and alone for sure.
And if you stay out by yourself here, you won't have a draft partner either. And oh, Dewey Schramm III, I don't know if he wanted to stay out there, if it was just not going to be safe for him to try to pit. You know, after what we just saw with Huck Davis and Glenn Mixon, I think Dewey decided, you know, my teammate's right there. I don't want to risk it. Shane Anderson, who we saw in replay with an incredible miss. And then Blake Warren, Jacques Anderson, Ben McDonald, all down pit road here. As you see the Current leader of those that have pitted is AJ Jones in the 42 over, Vince Freeze in the 6. Then you've got Siemba, Burns, Runkle, Crash, and Wild.
I gotta wonder if these guys coming out of pit road, here they are. They're gonna take less fuel, but now their tires are cold, so AJ Jones should have the advantage coming into the infield run course, especially.
Yeah, it's going to hurt them. I think the cold tires will hurt them in the few corners of the road course section, but on the oval, I don't think it's going to matter too much. They have been flat foot around the oval section all day long.
Yep, and there's the prediction coming true. As you see, I believe that's Aiden Smith on the other side of the road there.
Yes, indeed. So Brock, Reeves, Nevins all come out ahead of AJ, but AJ's going to have a big run and the warmer tires through here. But let's go up to Dewey Schramm the third. Truck still under power right now. Doing the best he can to make it back to pit road.
I believe he will be the only guy to make it 10 laps, guaranteed to make it on fuel, and that could actually help the guys that pitted on lap 7. There is a possibility to go 10 laps. They should make it home as well.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that made it 9 laps are, I think, proof enough that the guys that went the first 7 and decided to undercut, that those guys can make it. You got to know that, I mean, you're going to be fine on the oval section because of the draft, but those guys with the older tires are going to be suffering through the infield, so you got to make sure that you can maintain as many positions as possible. And it looks like the 9 maybe is starting to slow down right as he's coming to pit road. Truck is still under power, and he will make it to pit lane. And now Malik Nevins currently leads them out of the infield road course. Oh, where did Nelson Reeves go? The 19 is missing. No, we saw him come out of pit road. Where is the 19? I can't find them. He just disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah, he vanished.
Yep.
He vanished. AJ Jones, William Brock, side by side here at the start-finish line. There's the 19. He's on pit road.
Ooh.
Something has happened to the 19 and Nelson Reeves. Freeze is going to make it 3 wide with the Coyote teammates as they pass Dewey Schramm III for the lead officially. Have to see if Dewey can come out in this draft or not. He's got the tires, but it's going to take a lap for them to warm up. See Wild, Crash, Siemba, Burns, Lockrow, Nevins, Freeze, Jones, and Brock right now, the top 9. Brock with the race lead over AJ Jones. Edward Siemba in 3rd. And as they single file it out here into the road course section, you got Runkle, Foster, Mixon, and Cook catching up here right into this corner. Dewey Schramm III trying to hold on to the draft, but with no real help behind him and cold tires, he might be hard-pressed to maintain draft here with the leaders. But with 6 laps to go and 5 laps to go coming up, the best time to see what happened to Nelson Reeves is now. Here's what happened to Nelson Reeves. They're coming to the hairpin right before they get out of the road course. William Brock, AJ Jones, both with a run, both making a move on the 19. And as they get in the corner, Jones gets in a little hot, gets into William Brock, and then pushes Brock into Nelson Reeves, spinning Nelson Reeves out into the gravel trap. And you can see Nelson's trying to get it going, trying to get it back out. And ultimately, it gets beached. And that is a tough break for Nelson, man. He was having such a great day for something to happen once again. And oh, man. Who would have thought the 42 of AJ Jones happens to be in the middle of it? Taking a slow motion view of this from AJ Jones, who has an onboard this weekend. And as we stated, you know, AJ Jones had that incident at Finland 2 years ago. He also had an incident at New Zealand last year that landed him on probation with a points penalty. And he just gets in the corner a little hot, cooks it into his teammate's right rear. And in an effort to try to save his truck, ultimately that pushes Brock wide. And then right there you can see the moment that the 19 breaks loose from the 1 being pushed into the 19. And then there's the 19 in the rearview mirror. And can't say anything for certain here in the moment of this broadcast, but you know, with AJ Jones' controversial track record, that this is likely going to be looked at with the biggest microscope ever that the officials can get. But for now, we're going to watch the finish of this race. New race leader at the front of the field. It's Edward Siemba in the 80 for Anjato. Remember Anjato fresh off their first win of 2023 with Bob Burns at Kansas a couple weeks ago. Siemba hasn't gotten the victory lane yet this year. 3-time career winner of the Napa Truck Series. And he could be looking for his first career win here. Or not first career win, rather. First win of the season here today in Italy.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty with that team. So ZM is trying to prove him right as AJ Jones cuts off, I believe someone there was Freeze for second.
Heard some rumors about where Edward Siemba could be going for 2024, but those are rumors right now, so not going to say anything about that on the air. But with Anjato shutting down at the end of 2023, you know, these drivers of Siemba, Bob Burns, and Jordan Fisher, you know, who is still recovering, and Fisher been in pretty good spirits lately, looking to maybe get back in the truck this year at some point. But all three of those drivers, you know, actually Fisher, I'm sorry, is in the 6 for Martin.
Anderson.
Jock Anderson, yep. I'm thinking of last year, you know, like that championship in the 4, man. A blooper moment, but hey, we keep rolling. But Jock Anderson, yes, Jock Anderson will have to find a new home. It's pretty bad that, you know, I just did that. But you know, we haven't seen Fisher in a truck for a couple months now, and he hasn't won this year, so I guess maybe I just subconsciously thought back to his great season last year in the 4. But moving on, as they come out of the infield, AJ Jones going to make a move on Siemba. He's got no help right now, but now Vince Freeze in the 6 is going to make that move to give help, maybe make a move of his own. A single file behind them is Nevins, Burns, and Brock. Now, out of the drivers at the front, Vince, sorry to cut you off there really quickly. The drivers here at the front, those with the fresh tires are the 48, the 1, and the 8. The 19 would have been included in that, but he got sent into the sand. And then the driver up here, drivers up here with the oldest tires are the 6 and the 3, which we've actually seen Austin Runkle kind of fall to the back of this pack. See Glenn Mixon still in the group, kind of straggling here with Josh Crash. How about Jerry Cook, man? In the top 10 now after where he qualified. Vince, I don't know if you have it on you, but can you figure out where exactly the Cook qualified here today for Italy?
Yep, I'll get it pulled up. You keep commenting. You're good.
See Crash, Mixon, and Runkle all able to really close in here coming into the road course section. So we've got 4 laps to go.
33rd.
33rd. Wow. That's
plus 23. Yep.
That's pretty impressive. Can you get me Bob Burns too? Because we know Bob started deep in the field as well.
I believe Bob qualified. You keep commenting. I'll check it. Give me one more.
And he's currently side by side with Vince Freeze.
26.
26, man. So that is plus 22 for Burns. So, man, Burns and Cook, The cooking ain't burnt.
No, it ain't.
The cooking ain't burnt today, man. They're burning rubber is what they're burning. That's what they're cooking. They're rubber.
You can't burn Italian food, son. One of the best foods in the world. But anyway, back at the front, it's Mr. Controversy himself. Will be looking like a job for me at the end of the day. We'll find out. But A.J. Jones leading. We saw the timing move. What he did with Ziemba. Let's see if Brock and Ziemba learn and pay it back right here.
Everyone currently single file here. This is the top 13 on track. We see Dewey Schramm III was unable to stay with touch on that warm-up lap of his out of pit road. Man, there is going to be a pretty good battle there, though, for the end of the points as Nevins and Ziemba are now side-by-side for the lead. You know, 14th to 20th, those are all points positions, and then 21st on down, you get nothing, so got to pack a 14th to 24th with 25th and 26th straggling there, trying to maybe get in the mix of that, which it looks like they are barely still fighting in. That's James Ellison and Al Bunch at the back of that pack, so that could become a 13-truck battle for 7 points positions.
AJ looking to make the move as Jerry Cook is now in the back of this pack. We're starting Constantine up again. Watch that outside line, especially the tires start to wear. Ziemba should hold. Yep.
Ziemba holding on that outer line. Jones in second. Now Burns and Nevins side by side for third. Burns going to hold on, maybe make a dive at second on the 42 here. Yes, he does. Jones going to hold on, though. So we once again get a good look at the foliage.
And it's all about timing now, buddy. It's going to be a timing type thing the last 2.5 laps to go, for sure.
So now as we watch these front runners, locker row going to be 3 wide here with Tibb and Cook. Really tight corner there to be 3 wide. To give an update, Nelson Reeves, I believe, is back on track in last place right now. Aiden Smith down in 40th. Mac Johnson, 38th. Luke Martin is 37th. Huck Davis, 36th. Aiden Carlton down to 33rd. And we see, yes, Bradley Bishop Jr., he did have damage from that lap 1 incident. They spent time fixing that. He is 31st. So right now, Vince, looking at the championship picture, Luke Martin came into this race with a 17-point lead over Bradley Bishop Jr. and a 26-point lead over Ace Wild, those being the main 3 in the title hunt right now. And right now it's looking like Wild is the highest of the championship runners, looking to get some good points here today. He's got a chance to win this thing too if he plays the draft right. Bob Burns also up here looking to go back-to-back. Could you imagine? It took Burns all these years to get his first career win, and then he goes back-to-back and gets his second win just that quickly. That'd be a story.
Maybe a burn on the field for sure, but right now it's A.J. Jones and Burns. They exit the bank corner down the straightaway. Watch A.J. Jones here. He's going to use a little side draft. Burns is going to use a little side draft. Vince Freeze looking pretty wide, but he backs off. A.J. Jones goes a little higher. Watch him get this big run as they invert the lines right here in 3, 2, 1. Hit it.
Yeah, it was 4 versus 3 there down the back straightaway, and you can see all 4 of those drivers prevail there. Jones, Ziemba, Wild, Brock. Ziemba looking to make a move. Back to the points conversation with Luke and BBJ outside of getting points here. Wild, Burns, Brock, Foster, AJ Jones are all looking to get points. That's 3rd to 7th in the standings. All with the chance to gain a ton of points on Luke Martin and Bradley Bishop Jr. And we know, Vince, New Zealand, my man, Puka Kohei is going to be wild. This has been controlled chaos here today with the drafting. When we go to New Zealand, it's going to be uncontrollable chaos.
Uncontrollable chaos, and you might as well bring the Fosters and all those alcoholic beverages down there for the race fans. But right now, buddy, we got a race to decide. 1.5 laps, now about a lap and a quarter to go. A.J. Jones lead. You don't want to be the leader. This is going to be the debate. Do you want to be the leader heading into that last lap? I think second might be the place to be. Ziemba's getting a run right here. But can he clear Brock? I think he's got a chance to clear right here and get the toe.
Yeah, it's a line of trucks versus 2 trucks right now. Ziemba and Wild are both going to clear. You definitely don't want to be leading coming out of the road course on the last lap. But at the same time here, AJ's got to make sure he can stay top 3. Because if he's not top 3, maybe 4th, I think you gotta be top 3 coming out of the road course, Vince, to have a shot at this thing. White flag in the air.
Ziemba leads at the white, but will he get at the checkers? Tip Foster looks pretty wide. Does Brock try to go 4 wide? No, it gets blocked off. Here comes Ziemba with the top line with help from Jones. Foster, no help. I'm surprised MER didn't work together right there. That's interesting. I guess his all bets are off on the last lap, though.
You see Brock, Nevins, Lockrow, all with the freshest tires, but they're not in the top 3 spots, so I don't know how much they could maybe gain here through the road course. Jones is going to put a move on Ziemba here. Wild went to the inside. That checked him up. That's going to let Brock get to his left side. This is working out great for AJ so far. He is still second truck in line. Brock had to check up big time. That stacked up Doug Lockrow. Now Nevins is 3 wide with Wild and Jones. And this is letting Ziemba drive away, but that is not good for Edward Ziemba. You do not want a big lead. The bigger lead you have out of the road course, the harder and more impossible it's going to become to defend when you get on the oval.
It's got to be 9/10, I think, is the magic number. I don't think it's 9/10 yet, but if they keep dicing it up, they're going to slow their push draft. Here we go into the final sections here through the foliage. Ziemba leads. Can A.J. Jones get that wrong? Will they start the single file? Yeah, they're going to start a single file out. It's going to help them. A.J.
Jones and Malik Nevins, they were side by side through that last left-hander, and Jones was able to pull through and clear him. Tibbs sends it 3 wide. That's likely going to stack up the battle for 4th between himself, Brock, and Wild. It's going to be down to Jones and Nevins. One of these two is going to get the biggest run here on Ziemba. Ziemba is a sitting duck.
Yeah, run for the dough, as they like to say, the pizza dough in Italy. Can Ziemba pull it off into the bank corner? We go as they enter this groove section. Take it away, buddy, for the finish.
We saw Brock and Foster file in line. Wild is looking to the inside of Nevins as Nevins looks to the inside of Jones. That slides Nevins up the track as Jones goes to the inside of Ziemba. They blow Ziemba's doors off. Can Nevins get any kind of run here on the 42? Coming to the checkered flag, the answer is no. And for the first time this year, A.J. Jones is a Napa Truck Series winner.
Do a little controversy and you bring home the checkers. That's talking the talk and walking the walk. Congrats to A.J. Jones. And for the field, man, Ziemba just unfortunately was a sitting duck. We called it. Needed about that 9/10 gap. Had about a 6/10 gap, and that's just going to get close too quickly with no tire fall off on the bank corners for sure.
He had such a gap that the run they got on him, it just made even getting a little bit of draft was impossible because they had such a run. They made the move before they were even really close to him, and he just had to he kept it up against the wall, and he falls all the way to 5th, finishes 5th. That's a loss of 14 points in the championship. So big day for A.J. Jones with Luke Martin, Bradley Bishop Jr. not getting points. Malik Nevins comes home 2nd. He's been really looking for a good run. So great weekend for Malik. You know, fastest in practice. Practice doesn't really mean much, but, man, they had a really good YouTube Breeding Enterprises Ram for him this weekend. Ace Wild comes home 3rd. That's really big. That's going to move Wild up to 2nd in the standings, I believe. 4 points back of Luke Martin. Teammate Tib Foster 4th with Ziemba 5th. Then rounding out the top 10, William Brock, Doug Lockrow. That's the 8th first top 10 in a good while, a couple of races, almost maybe several months now, I want to say. So good finish for the 8 team. Bob Burns finishes 8th. Vince Freeze, our guest here, got it done in 9th. And then Glenn Mixon brought home a 10th. So a Coyote Autosports sweep inside the top 10. All 3 trucks up there in the top 10 running order. And we actually have another finish to look at really quickly before we get to pit lane. So while we watch the leaders do get out for the win, this was the battle for 14th. Led by Michael Miller, coming into the hairpin corner. And a move being made by Arya Carmona. How about Benjamin Snyder? Got it up into the top 20 here. Roberto Crown Jr. as well. You know, some drivers we did not see in the top 20 before the pit cycle began. And this was the battle these drivers had for the 14th spot. As this pack was 14th to 24th. Bradley Ream and Al Bunch trailed outside of it, but just look at the runs here from Arya Carmona. Makes the move to the inside of Miller. Then look at JD Martin, gonna make it 3 wide. Huge run from the 27, and you can just see the aero advantage of the 27 Mitsubishi over the 5 and the 87. And then Crown and Dewey Schramm went with them, and bam, baby, photo finish for 14th place. Michael Miller by 15 one-thousandths of a second over JD Martin. You can see Carmona 16 one-thousandths of a second over Roberto Crown Jr. Benjamin Snyder 9 one-thousandths of a second over Dewey Schramm. And then Shane Anderson gets the final position over Ryan Griffin. So going through 11th on down to 20th, Jerry Cook 11th after starting 33rd. Josh Crash 12th, Austin Runkle 13th, then Miller, Martin, Carmona, Crown, Snyder, Schramm, and Shane Anderson. That was the top 20. And then a couple of notables there. Ryan Griffin 21st, Christian Vargas 22nd, James Ellison 24th, Blake Warren 27th, Blaze McKinney 30th, Bradley Bishop Jr. 31st, Huck Davis 34th, Luke Martin 37th, and then Nelson Reeves in last place, a lap down. So AJ Jones was your winner here today, but it was not without some controversy. Vince, now that I've seen the entire race, can you tell me what you thought of your day getting 9th?
Yeah, we came in early. The first 5 laps of the race was just really about understanding this draft. Obviously, MM has a really good banked section of the track portion. I think the infield road course cars does. We just didn't have the edge grip on the corners, and we really sacrificed, I think, the handling. But on the straightaways, you can see all the Mitsubishi. So JD, Nelson Reeves arguably could have won today. Just really good in the bank section of the corners. And then once we came in, about lap 13, I noticed that was going to be our ceiling to try to get the lead. And once we got to like 3rd and we missed the inverted into the first road course part of the section, we just lost more edge grip on the tires and had to sell it home for a top 10. But this truck is going for an owner's championship, which is just as important as you have to lock yourself in. So our best to the fish, speedy recovery to him as always as well.
Yes, indeed, and that's actually worth. I'm glad you reminded me of the owner's championship, because that's worth pointing out that while the 6 is not fighting for a driver's championship with Jordan Fisher, the finish here by Vince Freeze to get 9th, while the 28 did not get any points. That's big. You know, that's going to be big in the owner's championship, and it could unfold to be a year where we finally see in the Napa Truck Series a different truck win the owner's title than the truck that wins the driver's title. And, you know, that could be something we see unfold. It looks like William Brock and Josh Crash are going to take another lap around the circuit. I don't know if they have enough fuel to do that, but they're going to do it. Tow trucks I'm hearing are on standby. Looks like JD Martin, Roberto Crown Jr. going to do the same thing. But yeah, so that's it for Italy. I hope everyone enjoyed. I thought the racing was really good and it wasn't overly chaotic. I'm hearing in my ear that officials have made decisions on some potential penalties for some incidents that occurred here today. So you will see what those penalties are as far as points penalty numbers go in the results sheet, and then as always in the Discord server, y'all will see the full write-up of the penalty report. So we head to Chaosville in a couple weeks' time to Pukekohe Park Raceway at New Zealand. So once again, I want to just thank Vince for coming out and being in the booth here day after the race and not spoiling anything for anybody. And AJ Jones is your winner here this afternoon, and I'll see y'all in New Zealand.
Sorry about that.